Updates from Doug in the media center here shortly. But before we get to that, we are joined.
Mr. Gavin Ward, hello, sir. Good morning.
How we doing?
We're doing well. Maybe the question is, how are you doing?
Tip top.
Tip top.
How are the nerves? Just like the unpredictability of today. We were just talking about weather things right now. What's the mindset as a team principal, knowing that we have a lot of uncertainties juggling right now?
You got to focus on what you can control at the end of the day, and try as you might, we can't control the weather.
Yes,
that's
true.
But what I told everybody this morning is, look, we've got 4 great race cars, we've got 4 badass drivers, we got great crews, the whole lot, and whenever we get to race, I'm pretty confident we'll be in the mix. So.
Yeah. Thinking about this being a relatively new role for you, team principal, how big of a win would it be for you today?
Oh, it'd be huge. It'd be the biggest moment of my career, without a doubt.
Yeah.
And I've been lucky to have some good moments.
You have. You've been with Red Bull in Formula One for several years. You've been with Team Penske for an IndyCar championship and several wins. What have you guys put in, or what's with 4 cars, some experience under your belt this year? How more comfortable do you feel in this role rather than last year when you were taking a big step up compared to being the director of trackside engineering?
Oh yeah, the learning curve has been about that steep.
Yeah.
Fun.
So definitely learned a lot, and just saying that to some people just before coming over here is just really proud of where the team's at. Much more to come. Maybe today will be our day. And if it isn't, that's all right. We keep working on making a better race team.
Yeah. You were on the stand last year when it looked like you guys might have any one of 2 or 3 drivers win this race. Ultimately, Alexander Rossi is your best finishing driver in 5th. When the race is in the final stint, you guys don't have any more stops to make. It is really in the driver's hands. What are those moments like for you as a team principal, wanting so badly for guys to carve their way to the front and win, and knowing that the team has done everything they can, and now it's just kind of up to fate and what the drivers can do?
Yeah, I think even in those instances, I still think we've got a role the team can play. You've still got the radio, can still help manage the driver's psychology, and I think also what you've put in up to that point on the driver's side also plays a role. So the environment you create for your drivers. So I don't take a fully hands-off, it's just up to them approach from there, although it's limited what you can do at that point. Just kind of rely on what you've done already. I won't lie, last year was one of the harder days to accept in my career. Now, having said that, when you have a day like that, you can take quite a lot of consolation in the fact that at the end of the day, everyone was safe. Everyone got to come home from the race and go to bed at night and see their family. So it could always be a lot worse. But for sure, as someone who preaches a focus on the process and a healthy detachment from results, because just as you explained, sometimes it's out of your hands. Mm-hmm. You can do the best job, and the dice might not roll your way. And I think living the highs and lows of the roller coaster that can be motor racing, take our Saturday qualifying for example, can be pretty unhealthy. So you need to have the right level of detachment, although you still need to care. And I struggled to practice what I preached last year, but we got through it, and it was a learning experience. But today I feel good.
As you mentioned, Saturday 2 weekends ago, there was a moment in time where 27 cars had times on the scoring pylon. Everyone had gotten their chance to go through, and you guys didn't have a single time up there, and yet you guys start with 3 cars in the first 3 rows. I think that's like a perfect example of not getting too panicked, not letting emotions take over, and just letting things play out and see what you guys can execute on ultimately.
Yeah, exactly. I think it's funny. Everyone's like, oh man, you must be so stressed out. You guys must have been so stressed out. And it's like, actually, the stress level was pretty low at that point. it would have been more stressful had the weather been sketchy.
True.
Giving up your guaranteed attempt is not something to take too lightly on some days. But that day particularly, I was pretty confident we'd get. It's like all we had to do was get one clean run. Our cars are good enough. It's going to be fine.
When you look at weather today as a team principal on the timing stand, I think we're hopeful, and I guess maybe I'll ask you about this, depending on what information and intel that you guys have gotten, but it looks like hopefully once we get running, maybe around 4:30 or 5, we'll be able to have a 3-ish hour window to get a full race in. But say the rain is coming in and it looks like we're going to cut things off at an uncertain time. How does that change how you guys call strategy? Do you guys maybe roll the dice on a car or two to go off strategy to put yourself in a place where you guys have lots of different scenarios covered? How have you guys kind of talked through that in your head?
Yeah, it's a super tricky one. Obviously, in the day you want to be leading when that caution comes out for conditions, especially if you're past that 101 lap mark.
Yeah.
But how much can you really play that prediction game? I think we've talked through a few scenarios. I think it's going to be game time, a little bit based on track position. Definitely want to be clear on our communication so that our drivers are well informed of what's going on. And then we'll see how it plays out. I mean, I really hope for the fans' sake and for our sake and for everyone's sake we get a full race, because I think that we play this one out to 200 laps. I like our chances. Hope it's not coming down to sort of something like that, gaps in a pit exchange, etc. But we've got a few more hours to worry about all the permutations. So
that's fair. You guys might even have a few more hours to plan than we were originally thinking.
Yeah.
I know we need to let you go here soon, but before we do, this double for Kyle Larson, or just having Kyle Larson be here at IMS, potentially make his 500 debut. It's been 16 months in the making. I was thinking about that the other day. The announcement came out in January of 2023. You had only just been promoted to your current role. Is it weird to think that we've had all this, the 16-month lead up, and now today's the day where this is all happening? Does it seem like it's flown by? Has it taken a while? What's it been like for you to get to this point with Kyle?
Well, I think it's been such a luxury to have that build up, because I don't think we could have done anything much more in terms of trying to plan this out to set that crew and Kyle up for success any better. Whether it was getting to do our rookie orientation program here last fall, running Kyle at Phoenix, do short oval work and get a feel for the car under more grip limited conditions. The simulator work, the sort of knowledge exchange between us and Hendrick, attending NASCAR Cup races, having their guys come to our races, and just all of that has really been a great process and a luxury to try and do this right. Also, I must say, Mr. H's enthusiasm for this program, and there's a reason that race team's been as successful as it has been. It's one of the best in the world, without a doubt. And you can see just how big a deal this is, and how important it is to him that we do this right. And I think that just isn't. We were motivated without that, but it adds another level. So yeah, no, it's fun to finally get to race day, see what the weather brings. But I think to me, this is the biggest story in motor racing right now. Certainly in North America,
Absolutely.
possibly the world. The enthusiasm is unbelievable. I think it was going to be unbelievable, but then that level of competitiveness that Kyle's had just knocks it out of the park.
Yeah.
So even Zach Brown called me up the other day after his press conference he did with Mr. H, and he's like, I didn't realize quite how big a deal this is.
And Zach does lots of it.
And Zach thinks it's a big deal. Yeah. It's probably a pretty big deal.
We were just talking before you came on about Mr. H, and talking earlier this week about how hard it would be to pull Kyle from this race to go to Charlotte for the Coke 600 and his NASCAR obligations there. I don't want to put you on the spot too much, but I have since learned this morning that it does sound like Kyle will likely stay, knowing the weather conditions that we have. Kyle will likely stay to do the 500 if we get rolling at 4:30 or 5. what do you know right now, and how will that decision kind of be played out?
Yeah, I mean, Hendrick guys are committed for Larson to try and get this in however possible. I think the permutations where it doesn't happen would be pretty limited and pretty unfortunate. So now we've planned for it, but pretty excited about getting racing whenever we do.
Cool. Well, we thank you so much for joining us, Gavin.
Yes, sir.
Thanks
Thank
a lot.
you. Good luck
Thank
with
you.
everything.
Yeah, good luck today.
Meeting ya.
Yeah.
Nice to meet you.
Thanks. Appreciate it.
No worries.
All right, guys. That was our lineup of guests today.
Yeah.
What a good lineup.
I know, it was really fun.
liked it.
It's always really fun getting these groups together. You send out a flurry of text messages and emails to team PR folks. You don't know always who you're going to hear back from. There's some guests like Marcus, for example, who came on in 2022 for the first time. He won the race, and the next year said he wanted to keep coming back every single year. So he's been on each of the last 3 years now, including this year. It's fun to get to talk to these guys in the element as the emotions and pressures are ramped